All right. Hello, everyone. We're still letting people in, so let's give a few more minutes. Thanks for being here, everyone. Bill, I see you. Hello, John. I see you.
Hello.
Pleasure meeting you.
Hello.
Ooh, there's a change on the Zoom meeting, Bill.
Yeah, it only went out an hour ago.
Yeah, but it didn't change the time.
I didn't change the time, but if you clicked that, so what happened was when I first accepted or registered for this, I created a calendar entry and that's the link that I used to get in to the Zoom meeting, but it's a different Zoom meeting. So if you didn't use if you didn't use the link that was in the update that was sent out an hour ago, you're in the wrong meeting.
What was the other meeting?
It's the same, it was the same thing, but there was a change to I mean, it's this, what do they call it? Executive, whatever the name of this meeting is. I don't know. This is my first time. I'm new to this. I mean, obviously not my first time on Zoom, but anyway, the point is that there was a change to the link that was only sent out an hour ago. And so my concern is that there may be other people that did something similar to me, and you stored when I registered, I captured the link that was offered at that time, but that's the wrong link.
Yeah, well, a friend of mine signed up. He told me about this, and so I'm surprised he's not here. I wonder if he's on the other link.
All right. Well, definitely, could you please check the other link if there is, and make sure that we have the right links.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, we knew something was off. Sorry for the inconvenience. We're gonna start in exactly about 4 minutes. I'm gonna make sure you guys can hear the music. We're trying to play some good music.
John, I don't expect the multimedia effects to work. When I went to my first professional society meeting after I graduated from college, they screwed up what they then called audiovisual, and so here we are decades later, and it still gets screwed up all the time. So I don't have any historical reason to expect things to work well.
Well, thank you, John.
So I just dropped the incorrect link into the chat on this meeting. If that helps you to figure out if there's anybody on that one.
Okay. Hello, Brendan.
No, that link does direct to this meeting, Bill. I already, yeah. Maybe there was like a little bit of delay on admitting the participants. But I'll share the link again to everyone that registered for this call right now.
Okay, maybe it's my mistake. I was waiting on that link for like 10 minutes and then finally kind of gave up and then I saw what I got was an email that said that there was a change to the details. So I assume that it did get, I mean, unless by opening that email, it could be that Google automatically updated my calendar entry. I don't know.
All right. Okay, we're gonna start in 2 minutes. Thanks for being here.
Sure thing. Sounds like I clicked the right link.
There you go. There was a first test. to make sure that we are in a higher conscious level.
So the other 312 people failed.
This is not for everybody.
I'm in the top 0.3 percentile. That works.
Mobile device not found. Ready to connect.
Can you guys hear the music?
Negative.
No music.
All we can hear are your words of wisdom.
All right, we're gonna get started in a few minutes. If everyone can get your coffee ready, we're gonna have some fun activity. Thank you. All right, and we're gonna have some networking activity. We're gonna bring everybody to the right mindset to get this started. I'm gonna share my screen. All right, we're gonna get started right now. All right, John, Bill, great to see you. Brendan, GP, is that? Can you can everybody show? Hey, Anna. Right. All right, thanks for being here. We have about 70 minutes to spend time together. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear my voice clearly. Awesome. All right, so I'm so glad and happy to do this. I've done this about 80 times. So you're now getting the first beta version of this amazing content. Hello, Lisa. Welcome you in. And I want to share this with you, quick kind of background, how this came about, and we're going to start getting into the content. So this was actually developed with an organization called the Vistage, which has about 45,000 business executives as a member all around the world. And they had a very specific need to develop cybersecurity issues for different organizations, everywhere between $1 billion to $10 million businesses. And as you know, one of the key people in your organization who needs to be aware about risk of businesses are the people in the top. That's why we exclusively wanted to invite an executive like yourself. Because if you don't see the risk at a high level with a higher awareness, then it's just not going to happen. So we, in partnership with the Vistage, that has about 45,000 people, we've been cycling this over and over again to make sure that this is the right content It's not too technical in a way that you already know and practicing every day, but also it's not too abstract either. So this has gone through a lot of cycles to get to where we are. Now, of course, it's getting better every time. So that's how this has came about. And I cannot be more excited to have you all in this, our first webinar. It's been always in person only. So I know we have some glitches from a technology perspective. So I'm glad that you guys all made it in here. This is going to be very interactive session. Okay. So next 70 minutes or so, if you can be fully present in a way that we get the maximum out of this time together, I really appreciate it. So that means, as you know, in the virtual world, if you can turn your camera, and we're also going to have some network activity that's going to require you to use an amazing voice as well. So we're going to do that as well. So if you could do that, Lisa, I see you, or Brendan, they'll be great. All right, so you can see everybody, each other. Happy Friday, everyone. All right, Brendan. Evaristo. Yeah, reveal yourself.
All right, yeah, sorry, give me one moment.
Yeah, all good, no worries. So as you're getting yourself situated, the key decisions, this is sort of the decision model about how we develop, especially executives or aspiring executives, to a new level of thinking and learning. There's a certain framework that we follow, and that is, okay, how do we have perspective that's outside of the paradigm? Because when we say we want to have a more awareness, it's not just about looking at what's within what you know already. It's about expanding that. So having a more perspective, which will lead a better decision, and that's going to develop our intuition, instincts, our gut feeling that you as leaders, and then that's going to also make a better judgment, and we can actually go through the cycle. So key decisions in cyber defense company: awareness and leaders in cybersecurity, cyber defense. Second, implementation of awareness security in business. And then third, right sizing budget for cyber defense program and services. So these are one of the main takeaways and decisions that have to be made for your company. Today, this is actually 4 module series. Hello, John, welcome back. And so today, for next an hour or so, we're gonna go over the first module, okay? And as I mentioned in the beginning, this is gonna feel a little bit abstract and conceptual in a way, and that's by design. As I mentioned, this is developed for the leaders, executives, who need to kind of come in from a different angle, in a way to develop leaders to another level. Okay, you guys all tracking? Great. John, while you were out, I asked everybody to welcome in to this special space by turning on camera. If you can, John, that'll be great. Because also this is not just our customers, but also we want to create a value of networking and building a community as well. So we only invited people that we want to have intimate networking sessions together. So John, if you can turn on the camera, that'll be great. So the agenda for module. First, how do we humanize the cyber defense? The first thing, we're going to talk about intentionality. And this is going to make it really interesting. A consciousness energy, and what's that role in cybersecurity? And the second, the connecting with the self and others. And we're going to take a quick break. And awareness, but situational awareness, environmental awareness, and then talk about the attention management. And then we're going to break away for today. And then next sessions, that's going to happen in about 2 months. We're going to go into more cyber risk assessment, cyber defense. So that's our program for today. All right. I want you guys to take a look at this. and then kind of plot where you are in this graph. And where do you see yourself? So this graph is from a book called From Strength to Strength. Has anybody heard that book or the author named Arthur C. Brooks? No? Okay. John? We'll wait until he comes back. So this book talks about the happiness. This is he's a Harvard professor, known as a happiness professor, and has one of the most comprehensive survey on happiness as we age, which is what graph you're seeing. As you can see, something happens around 16, the peak of our puberty, and then everything's in decline. And then something happens around 53, and then another big inflection point happening in 66. Do you guys see this? Okay. Like to hear from one or two of you. Like, what do you observe here? Please feel free to unmute yourself.
Hey, John. So, Gurpal here, but
There you go.
looking at this, I'm guessing from a high level, 66 is around the time you retire. So you can go on a fork of either being happy or unhappy. But then the other thing I notice is that you're right, after your 20s, life seems like it gets a little boring and grim unless if you turn it upside down on your own.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you for the feedback, Gurpal. Great to see you. One more person. What do you see?
So I just feel like since when you're younger, there's since you don't have a career just yet, there's a lot more time that you could spend on yourself and having more time for yourself. Well, there's more time like spending time on like vacation, having spending time on your hobbies, and then once you get older, once you have your career path, you spend more time on your career, and then of course like John said, once you get out that career path, once you start retiring, that's when you start being more happier, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
So what I find notable about the chart is the inflection point at 53. And my being somebody who's on the right-hand side of that inflection point, I wonder if there's something to do with sort of getting to a certain age and coming to terms with who you are, and what you're likely to do with what's remaining of your life, and maybe becoming sort of, I don't want to say resigned. It's maybe just more satisfied and realistic about your own prospects.
Oh, Bill. Oh, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. All right, the book is highly recommended, so you guys can check it out. From Strength to Strength. I'll give you a really quick version. What happens in 16 between 53? I'm sure you guys are also, amazing outliers. It's not part of this graph. Okay, that's why you're here. But what happens from 16 is that we finally realize around 16 that we start realizing that, oh yeah, I gotta do this, all the imprint coming from the event and what's happening to our life becomes the filters of ourselves, and we get confused who we truly become. So we take a long discovery curve. And the whole time we're pursuing something. Those of you, depending on where each age group, you know where season you are. We continue to discover and explore something, try to figure out who we are. And then we get married, have children, and then, oh, I thought I have that, and it's just something else. We continue to discover ourselves. And around 53, guess what happens? We realize that the whole time, about 50 years, I've been living on an identity that's defined by some other externalities instead of being a self-authored identity. So start realizing that, oh wow, I need to wake something up within myself to start coming up. And around 66, it's about whether I have choice to get back to how I was 20, working on my recalling memory. I want to be more techie. I want to be, younger and sexier, and I'll start taking, getting surgery, whatever it is. That's one way. The other way is I'm going to start using what I call crystallized intelligence to actually instruct, mentor, educate, raise younger generations. Depending on which choice you go to, it has a huge inflection point. All right. Another thing that happens is that around 25, something happens. What happens in our development aptitude is start getting plateau. Those of you who have teenage or young children, you see how fast they learn. They're like a sponge. Like they can learn now with the ChatGPT and all the information that's always expanding. They can keep up with all the changes, right? If I think about how I was when I was 10 years old, very different than how 10-year-old gain their knowledge and information they get. 25, hit plateau. So we start losing some of the developmental aptitude that we used to have before that. Give you some statistics. What age group have the most Nobel Prize winners? Can anybody guess that?
I'd say
From
like
20 to 30, 30 to 40?
Are you referring to the age at which they had the accomplishment that earned them the award, or when they were actually?
Oh, Bill.
Those are two
Wow.
things.
Great question. No, what age actually win the prize? Which age group? 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50?
50 to 60, I'm gonna guess,
Hmm.
for the actual award, because it usually comes,
Yes,
it
actual
often comes,
word.
it often comes decades after the actual work was performed.
It's a 30. The 30 is the answer. For the work they do in their 20s is a majority of the. So there's a difference between the actual winning and the work they've done. It's a work they've done. If you look at all the tech, Facebook and all the companies, right? It's the innovation happens around that age. So something happens in adult development, and then the middle age, we can actually break out of the plateau. And here's how we do it. And welcome to this very special session for you guys. So there's something called within adult development, which you all are, right? Everybody's consider yourself adult. There is a capacity of acquired learning, which is called horizontal development. And there's something called adaptive learning, which I also refer as a vertical development. Okay. The horizontal development is like having another certification. So Gorpal, right? You're amazing with a PCI, but then let's say that you're getting to ISO 42001, which is a more of an new AI framework. When you gain new knowledge, that's considered to be horizontal development because you're adding another knowledge base to your core competency as amazing security and a compliance professional. Whereas vertical development, it's more of upgrading the hardware rather than adding another application to your skill set. And vertical development, the adaptive learning, it's more complex. So one example of vertical development is like having a more awareness kind of what is really going on in your organization. That's not something that you can just get another certification into. This kind of vertical development takes a different types of development. Okay, this capacity is a vertical development. You're literally increasing your overall capacity in a higher level. So humanizing cyber defense, which is a theme for today, this module, having a more awareness within cybersecurity and security in general within organizations. One can argue that, that's another skill set that I can add to my reservoir of apps in my own skill set. Versus, no, that actually takes a vertical development to break out of that adult development plateau through very specific practice. Is everybody getting this? This is not a easy concept. That's why we only specifically invite those of you who are here. So this whole program is, we're going to focus on the vertical development, not the horizontal development today. This whole concept of the awareness and humanizing cyber defense about people development through adult development program is about vertical development, is what I'm trying to impress upon you. Any questions so far? All right. We're gonna get to some fun stuff now. Is everybody with me? All right. I'm gonna you guys watch this 2-minute video. Okay. It's a 2-minute quick video. And we're gonna workshop this really quick. Oops. And then we're gonna workshop after the video. Sounds good? So crank up your video.
Astounding fact you can share with us about the universe. Most astounding fact is the knowledge that the atoms that comprise life on Earth, the atoms that make up the human body, are traceable to the crucible that cook light elements into heavy elements in their core under extreme temperatures and pressures. These stars, the high mass ones among them, when unstable in their later years, they collapsed and then exploded, scattering their enriched guts across the galaxy. Guts made of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and all the fundamental ingredients of life itself. These ingredients become part of gas clouds that condense, collapse, form the next generation of solar systems, stars with orbiting planets. And those planets now have the ingredients for life itself. So that when I look up into the night sky, and I know that, yes, we are part of this universe, we are in this universe, but perhaps more important than both of those facts is that the universe is in us. When I reflect on that fact, I look up. Many people feel small because they're small and the universe is big, but I feel big because my atoms came from those stars. There's a level of connectivity. That's really what you want in life. You want to feel connected. You want to feel relevant. You want to feel like you're a participant in the goings on of activities and events around you. That's precisely what we are, just by being alive.
You guys hear that? Okay, let's hear from one or two. What was the main takeaway? By the way, who was that? Anybody recognize the voice?
That Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes, yes. All right, Brendan, you volunteered. What did you hear?
I had to take a call real quick, so I heard like the back half of it, but it's not so much like knowing your place, but realizing everything it took to like get to you, I guess, if that makes sense, right? All the series of events it took to took you to get where you're at. It wasn't just one thing or two things. There was a whole series of events that were kicked off that eventually led at some point to you, you know, that whole philosophical, like, causes leading to causes.
Love it. Interconnectedness. Brendan, that was great. Okay, one more person. What did you hear?
This is Gurpal. Yeah, I think as I'm a big fan of Neil deGrasse Tyson, but I know he takes he does a good way of placing everything into a very linear chronological timeline. And my takeaway from this video, A, is like, hey, life is linear, the universe is linear. Where you are on that line is defined by you. But I think something very specific to me in this example is that you can be moving along this line that's like hypothetically your life. There's going to be a longer line that's the universe and the age of everything, but you can't exactly go backwards. So you're only ever moving forwards along this line. And then to me specifically, I think it's important to, as you're moving forward, take time and see where you were at one point. And rather than comparing yourself to other people or the accomplishments of others, compare yourself to who you were in the past along that linear line, because you will see a delta. And if you're doing things correctly, that delta, even in its most minuscule form, will show some growth and improvement along that linear line. So got a little meta there, but yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Gurpal. It was great. Yeah, he's talking about how we are small, yet very big. The paradox. So that was a great point, Purple. So look at yourself in the long arc of time. There's a beginning, there's alpha, and 13.8 billion years ago, that's when the beginning of the universe, Big Bang, galaxy, not universe, started. 4.5 billion years ago, that's when Earth was created. 200,000 years ago, that's when modern human forms like us started walking around the Earth. And 78 years. Can anybody guess what that is?
Human lifespan.
Yes, it's average lifespan of Americans currently. And then that
John,
brings
can I
you.
ask a question?
Yes, John?
I signed up for a webinar on consciousness of cyber defense, and I just, which supposedly starts at 6 o'clock. And a friend of mine who also signed up for it just forwarded the URL to me, which gets me here. I'm very confused.
You're in the right place if you signed up. Next, if you heard
This is for cyber defense?
did you see the whole agenda?
No. Only what was in the email for signing up.
Okay. Well, we went through the agenda, how we got here. Cyber defense is definitely the one on the agenda. We're gonna get there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for turning your camera, John. So did you watch the the clip?
Yes,
Okay.
that doesn't sound like cyber defense to me.
Yes. Well, we're talking about we're getting there, and this is a 4-module series. So I understand you want to get to the content that you're looking for, the cyber defense, which is part of it, but this is kind of part of the process. So if you can lean into the process, and there's 4 parts, so we're gonna have another one. So did you watch the video? What did you see? Did you hear something?
Well, I thought that Brandon's comments were better than I could come up with. So I guess I'm not really aligned with what's happening yet. So thank you for taking time to respond, and please don't let me interrupt further.
No worries. No, appreciate you. Okay. So that brings this moment. And I want to make sure that we kind of get to the very specific areas. So I want to the first module that we're talking about, and John, thank you for bringing that up for clarity. So Bill Brennan, as I mentioned, abstract this out. we are starting from a little bit of abstract content before we get to concrete, because we're talking about the consciousness and awareness within cybersecurity. And I know most of the webinars or speaking sessions that you go is about tools and process, how we get there. And as I explained in the beginning, what's missing, this is developed by in partnership with the Vestige, which is the biggest business executives group in the world. And what was a missing link is how does awareness and consciousness play into the cybersecurity? So I want to honor the genuine curiosity that John asked, and how are we going to get there is exactly what we were talking about just now. So going upstream, if you're looking for, okay, how do I increase the cyber defense for a company, organizations? And you said, I want tools and process. Sure, and we have a ton of that. That's what we do all the time. But this particular session is more about this. Because as I explained on the adult development and how we vertically expanded capacity, because the difference between horizontal capacity, did you hear that part, John?
I'm sorry, would you repeat that?
Did you hear the horizontal capacity versus vertical capacity?
Yes.
Okay. So if you think about the awareness of your organizations, we can talk about the company and talk about the team. But the way we're going to get there is this. How do we get to the current level to the next level? That which will get to the team. And then that's going to get to the company. So let me repeat. This is not about, oh, let's get more tools and process for the company, which we do have plenty of it. What's in scope for this session is, how do we get the individual, the leaders, which you are, get to the current level to the next level in terms of awareness, intentionality, and conscious, which is the first module for this, is exactly what we need to get to the team, and that will get to the companies to move to the next level, the vertical development. Any question? So when we talk about the adult development and talking about not the horizontal development, which is exactly the applications, process tools belong to, which are important. The first module we're going to talk about is the next level for the leaders that you are. And when we think about the current level to next level through the vertical development, that is exactly what's called the transformational journey. Transformational journey, okay? And I know there's a little bit abstract and you're trying to figure out how that ties to the cybersecurity, which is a great question from John. It's going to come all together in a very integral way very soon. So I want you to keep leaning in with a curiosity, and you're going to see, oh, wow, this is how this whole thing's coming together, okay? We're going to do something very interesting. Put your piece of paper. Get your piece of paper, any blank sheet of paper. And I want you guys to draw a circle like this. Has anybody seen this before, circle? Okay. Try to draw one circle with pen or pencil. And we're going to talk about what this means. This is actually part of the Zen practice. And they talk about this circle going over and over again. I'm going to get into that workshop this really quick so you understand the concept behind this. John, are you doing the circle?
Yes, I have a
Looking at the
circle.
circle. I'm sorry?
I have a circle.
All right, you have a circle. So what I'm asking is keep drawing it, making sure that you have the perfect circle is the goal here. So we're going to give each other about 20 seconds And I'm going to show you how terrible my circle is. All right, keep 20 more seconds.
I lack proper pen and paper, so I'm using the digital pad on the phone. That's okay.
That's okay.
Doesn't make it any easier to draw circles, I'll tell you that, but
100%
something.
true. Drawing is not my forte.
All right, let's see. Is that better than yours? Did anybody do a better job than this? Let me try again. Oh. Oh, wow. Okay, show your circle. John, let me see yours. Okay. Thank you for participating. So this is called the mastery cycle in Zen practice. Has anybody done either martial art or Zen practice, anything like that before?
Long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, long time ago.
I have a black belt in Taekwondo.
I did Taekwondo about, I stopped about 10 years ago, so as a kid.
Amazing. So that practice called circled mastery cycle. Okay. When we are trying to develop, especially in the area of the vertical development on a skill set, the urge right now, the strong urge in all of us is that I just want to get that thing and I want to apply and I want to implement, because that's how the cybersecurity professionals like myself that we are. Because we're bombarded with so much attacks in the headlines, there's externalities that are coming at us. That's how we think. That's how we think. So I need to get there right away. Mastery cycle works like this. You guys can see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So on your circle, try this. So the first step is try and apply. And then next cycle is review and reflect. Terrible handwriting. Nobody writes these days. But I'm going to practice. And then third is plan to improve. And then you plan to improve and you try that again. And try, apply. And try to apply and you review and reflect it again and then plan to improve. With the circle, mastery cycle over and over again. Let me hear from two people. Where do you see this in your life, either professional or personal? Where do you use mastery cycle in this format, either in professional or personal?
It's very relevant to professional, just if you think about the ever-evolving landscape of information security. Now you have AI and all threats associated with AI. You need to start somewhere on the circle. Like, it can be very overwhelming initially. You're like, oh my God, there's so much information. It's so scary, but you need to try. So that's like a good example from a professional standpoint. Start with a try, apply, review and reflect on what it is you think you know. And then when you get into that plan and improve, that's where you're, in my opinion, that's that last cycle of last part of the cycle of bringing you up to par with that subject matter. And then I think in a personal life, relatable for me, having just relocated to a new city, you have to try to make friends. It's tough to make friends as an adult, but you go out there, talk to people, review and reflect on the people you met. Hey, are these people, do they vibe with me? Do we talk about the same stuff? Do I enjoy being around them? And if the answer is no, well, plan, improve. Maybe you need to go hang out at different places to meet different people, or hey, maybe these are your people and you all get along and are on the same page. And it's a couple examples there, professional and personal.
Thank you. All right, let's hear from one more person.
I mean, I'm doing this right now, professionally speaking, just, the good old business continuity, disaster recovery type stuff, right? You have to start somewhere. So you have to have a 1.0, right? And then you
Mhm.
review it, and then everyone's like, well, this part kind of needs improvement, or, we didn't consider this. It's like, cool, so now we have our 1.1, and then we try and apply it. And it's just continually improving because the only constant, not in just this industry, but in life, is in fact change. And things
Mhm.
change and things evolve and things, there's not a sense of like total stability, especially when it comes to tech, because it changes all the time.
Mm-hmm. So if you actually look into this directly, more closely, I mean, there's something called, you guys, I'm sure, saw yin and yang before, yin and yang.
Yeah.
If you actually look into the yin and yang, study it as a student of new knowledge, one circle stands for Kakaiku. This is where the Toyota manufacturing facility and the practice comes from, Kakaiku. It's in continuous improvement, which is what Brandon, you're talking about. Okay, 1% improvement. We cycle this faster. That's where the agility development comes from. This is where the software-defined segmentation comes from. You gotta be cycling faster. We get the feedback. We apply, plan faster. We cycle that, cycle that. And then the other half of the yang is there's a kaizen. I'm sorry, kakaiku. There's a kaizen. You guys heard the kaizen. Kaizen is the continuous improvement. Kakaiku is a disruptive improvement. Like, oh, okay, we're gonna rip and replace. And we're gonna forklift that thing out and we're gonna replace it with something else. Which is exactly what Gorpo talked about with AI, which is disruptive, rip and replace. Do you guys see that? So the balance of the continuous improvement, stabilizing yet 1% improvement, going in one cycle. Also Kakaiku, that both together is what's gonna make the mastery cycle perfect as in yin and yang. We're gonna have quick. I know you guys haven't introduced yourself, so love to do that right now. So we're gonna have 2-minute exercise. What's called intention exercise. And John, let's go with you. You're at the top of my screen. So really quick, let's do about a 1 minute per person for interest of time. John, so your question. Please write down, you can be a 1 word or 1 sentence. This is not gonna be a TED Talk, okay? So 1 word, 1 sentence. They're gonna give you
I'd like to improve my understanding of how things change and I can adapt to them.
Great. And what are you willing to give to have that experience? And what are you willing to risk to have that experience?
Well, I don't think I fully understand the process that you're trying to use over the next 4 assessments yet. So I don't really have enough context to be able to respond to that.
Okay. Bill? What do you want to personally experience from this? What are you willing to give to have that experience? What are you willing to risk to have that experience?
I feel like maybe I'm in a similar boat to John. I'm not quite sure I understood what this was when I agreed to register. So I didn't necessarily come to it with objectives in mind.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be aligned with what I'm trying to do. Just come up with, yeah, this is what I want to learn. This is what I want to experience from. So thank you for that, Bill, though. Brendan.
So from this experience, I personally want to just like learn kind of how to approach communicating cybersecurity needs and requirements to my compatriots in management. I'm willing to, you know, give my time and energy to kind of come at this from a different angle. And I'm willing to risk a few setbacks, you know, maybe I execute whatever I learned from this wrong and I, you know, try again, go through that mastery cycle again and figure out maybe I can look at things in a different angle.
Love it. Thank you, Brendan. That was great. Purple.
I'm on mute there, sorry. From this, I personally want to experience learning things and gain introduced to concepts that I might not be familiar with. With that said, I totally see the merit in the 4-part process, starting from where we are right now, especially with the analogy of the circle. What I'm willing to give, yes, time, energy, and focus for sake of knowledge. And then last but not least, I'm willing to risk making mistakes. I'm willing to risk getting off of my alleged high horse. I'm willing to risk admitting I do not know everything. I am not an expert. I need to put the student hat on and learn.
Right? Great. Okay, let's go to Aristo and Richard and Michael.
For me personally, I just I just wanted to see the the humanized part of cyber to see how that works out. Because I mean, then again, I am still like I guess a student, quote unquote. Oh, yeah, still a student, but I just recently graduated, trying to learn as much as possible. And let's see, what are you willing to give? Really, what I'm willing to give is just my time to basically be more knowledgeable in the field. And what I can get from the humanized side of cyber itself. And then what are you willing to risk to have that experience? Really, I mean, I'm just willing to just learn as much as possible, just to know what concepts are.
Cool.
But, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Richard and Michael.
Yes, I mean, ultimately, I think we're all here for the same reason, to keep learning. I mean, there's constant risks out there and we have to find a way to mitigate them. And not everybody has the resources to do that. So either you have budget constraints or personnel restraints. So whatever we can do to move the needle forward, that's the most important thing.
Okay. All right, Michael.
Yeah, hi, John. Long time no talk.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I want the updates from the man, the myth, and the legend, you. And in terms of what am I willing to give to have that experience? Well, I put in some time every week, and I've got all the tools in the setup. I mean, just in the last 6 months, I've seen probably a 200% increase in attempted attacks on my own personal accounts and my business organizational accounts, and been able to thwart everything, even a malware attack, a ransomware attack. So keeping all of those skills sharp, although that's not my main focus, but it's, like Richard mentioned, I don't right now have the budget to go hire, a personal security consultant to keep an eye on everything, because we're a smaller SMB, right? So what am I willing to risk to have that experience? Well, I put in the time, right? And if I get to a certain size, then that would be to get in the right resources to monitor things and deal with what we have to deal with. So
Great, thank you. Conrad, thanks for joining us. You showed up at the right time for your spot. This whole session is being recorded, so we're gonna send you the content so you can review some of the really cool practices we did. But can you share?
Can I share what?
Can you answer the question?
I guess at this point, I'm looking to build on my experience and improve my ability to manage the team and the responsibilities that I currently have. I'm the vice president of operations center, for
Mhm.
exam.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Conrad. Great to have you. All right. So we're gonna do a quick exercise. Let's do how many? Okay, so let's do 3 people. Definitely. We're gonna do a really quick breakout session, and we're gonna transport you guys back in about 4 minutes. So one person has a 1 minute. So simple question: name, company, and share one most favorite part of your responsibility, and share one least favorite part of your responsibilities, which becomes a great topics to discuss and workshop later on. So we're gonna come back in 3 minutes. Sounds good? All right. Definitely, because you transport us. Can you put Gurpal and Brendan in a different room? Yeah, I don't need to be in the room. Thank you, Daphne. All right, well, we're here. Can you, Gurpal, Brendan?
Yeah,
You guys are stuck with me. Our lives brought us here together.
I know. Yeah, it's I keep John. I keep forgetting. Like we go way back,
Ooh,
like 2016, 2017.
Definitely, is Gurpal staying here?
No, I'm moving him right now. Give me one second.
All right, well, love to catch up with you soon.
Yeah, for sure. Let me know whenever you're in New York, man. I'm out here now.
Looking great. You look sharp, man. You're looking super sharp.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being such a good participant.
I
Of course,
think
man.
you
This
just
is.
have to click join.
Do I need to click something?
Yeah.
Stephanie?
Do you see any? Because I already moved you to a.
I'm on the Zoom desktop app. Where should I be looking?
mm, I already moved you to. Let me try and move you to room 3. It
Okay.
says
Let me know if I need to click on anything.
Yeah, it just says not joined. So that's why maybe it's not assigning you.
It's odd.
All right, well, can you share?
Yep.
Did you give it a time limit, Daphne? 3 minutes? You there, Daphne? All right, Gurpal, what's your most favorite part and least favorite?
Ooh, I think the favorite's definitely the challenge. As you know, security compliance is never straightforward and simple. So, especially when starting with a new team, new technology stack, new way of doing things. But I think I like to embrace that challenge and be put in that position where I need to horizontally scale to increase my knowledge. Maybe it's DevOps is using this tech stack, they're using this operating system, they're configuring the infrastructure and XYZ that might not be the way I'm used to seeing it done. So that's always fun to like learn that and then going through your cycle of mastery. Because ultimately, I have to be at that mastery in order to be able to pass the security work we do with your team. Otherwise, I wouldn't be too effective there. And I think what's the least favorite part, and this is probably standard across security, unexpected surprises. and then egotistical blockers. Haven't encountered it in my current role, but in my last job, there was a lot of times that I would say we need to do A or B, and it was overruled in favor of delivering something to the customer. To me, where I sit, that's unacceptable. You need to take the security stuff into account, but that's always my least favorite, is that being put in that position where I have to butt heads with somebody and stand my ground, but fully knowing that I still might not win. And at that point, it's on me to figure out how I deal with it. Enough of that happens, and the natural next thing for security professionals, maybe I shouldn't be here if they're not going to be on my team. So that's my least favorite part, and I hope it never gets to that anywhere else I work in the future. Because in this day and age, like, you have to take security as your priority, like, over delivering things to customers. Otherwise, you don't have a business.
So more of a human side.
Yeah, that's why, dude, I
dealing with
understand
drama.
everything you're doing here. As soon as you started this off, I was like, this is perfect. Like, this is something, I've been doing a lot of research on this phenomenon called brain rot, which it's stuff that happens to adults because we're being over inundated with notifications and social media, texting, distracting news. And you have to be able to filter all that stuff out in order to be able to become a master. You can't do that mastery cycle if you're going in the circle and then you get distracted because, like, your friend texts you, or, hey, here's like a funny post on social media of like cats and dogs. And so you got to tune all that stuff out and become human instead of being more, I like to say, in sync with machines. I think all of us are very deeply ingrained in technology, personally and professionally. We might sometimes forget how to be human. So, like, kudos to you, John. Like, everything you started this off with, 100% aligned. Absolutely love it. I connected those dots pretty quickly.
Thank you. All right, we start seeing, hey, Bill, Conrad. All right, Daphne, I think we're 30 seconds. Great. Brendan, good to see you. All right, John, Michael, to be back. Is everybody back? Everybody back? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear from 2 or 3 group. What was the one main takeaway? What was the most interesting thing that you heard in your group?
You guys.
Volunteer. What was the main takeaway or most interesting thing?
Brandon's the first guy that I know, well, I've met, that has his master's in cybersecurity. That's quite interesting, especially after COVID hit, right? So.
Did you guys see any pattern of a least favorite part of responsibilities? Anybody? Oh yeah, that's my least favorite also.
Well, in our group, there were 3 of us, and the other 2 had a common theme of being relatively new to their role for different reasons, but in a slightly different context. But they didn't. I guess both of them were saying that they wish they were further along the path or something like that. I guess you might say. I don't know.
Okay, great. Appreciate that, Bill. All right, one more. Let's hear from one more person before we go with the rest of the
Conrad, I think
content.
you were on mute.
I'm not muted.
Yeah, I was just saying, struggling a bit with lack of familiarity with the within a new company, and just compared to having left a company that I had been with for more than 30 years. So I'm struggling with that at times.
Yeah, I know from my side, so I'm fairly new to my role. I'm Director of Information Technology where I'm at, and I'm in the petroleum business, but I'm downstream from exploration and refinery. And it's very much like a black box with how everything works. So a big part of what I'm doing is really trying to understand the business itself, so that whatever, we do in IT actually benefits the business. Collaborating with upper management and whatnot. It's a struggle at times because it's sometimes I feel speak different languages, but it is important to have that element.
For what it's worth, and maybe this is related to that first curve that you showed us, John, but I kind of, from my perspective, kind of have the opposite feeling. My most recent role, I think that of all of the jobs that I've had over the course of my career, I think I was most prepared to step into this one most recently, where I felt like it was a natural fit, and I just was effective from nearly day one. Even though I was in a different industry sector than I'd worked in the past, it was my first time in healthcare, and there were some peculiarities of working cyber in healthcare that were a little bit surprising. But overall, I really, and maybe I'm just on the upward side of that curve that you showed of, happiness after age 53 or whatever. But anyway, that's the way. So I had sort of like the opposite perspective than the other two folks in my breakout.
Thank you. Did great, Bill. I'm going to share something really interesting. As I mentioned, some of you missed the beginning part of this that kind of sets the frame what we are leading into, what we are going into together. Consider this as a dojo that you are all stepping in. Because all the great unknowns that think we're looking for is actually outside of what we're looking for. Because if it's a known, then we would have known it. It's outside of our present awareness. And as I mentioned in the beginning, this program was developed in partnership with an organization called Vistage. And that has about 48,000 business leaders, CEOs, CIOs, COOs. And it made through many mastery cycles to get to where we are. When we do a survey on all the cybersecurity and the chief, IT and IT security surveys, what do you think is the number one least part of their responsibilities? Take a wild guess. Came up already a few times already. The least part of their responsibilities is dealing with humans. You can call it politics. It could be communicate better with the management team, and they don't understand. They're dealing with people who click on that thing all the time because they don't have the awareness of what's going on. That's dealing with the people. Do you guys agree with that, or did it come up in your breakout?
It didn't come up.
And part of it.
From my personal perspective, I guess I'm not part of that crowd.
That's great. Great.
I mean, yeah, obviously there's always frustrations with personalities well, I don't know, I'm sure that I have some serious, seriously negative experiences with people, with what is often called politics. For me, it's maybe a little bit more narrow than that. I have very little patience with careerists, with people that are more concerned with their own advancement and aggrandizement and sense of importance than they are with the mission. I just really get annoyed with that dimension of things. But on the other hand, when you call it people problems, my thought is that for decades now, I've kind of followed the mantra of people make or break security, and we can spend all day with our fancy technologies and everything else, most of which, quite frankly, hasn't really changed a lot in the last few decades.
Yes.
And the real, where the rubber meets the road, where the real impact is made is with how we can, first acknowledge human, natural psychology and sociology and human behavior, and how can we dovetail that appropriately with good security practice. And that's, to me, an interesting challenge, and not one that I resent because I want to go diddle bits on some stupid product or whatever. No, I mean, yeah, I'm technical too, but that's not where the answers are, folks. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
At the end of the day, every single person who's in your organization is on the security team,
Mhm.
period.
The reason, and this is great segue, Brendan. That was amazing feedback. And Bill, we love to learn from you because it sounds like you kind of cracked the code on the psychology of the human side of things. Therefore, we titled this session "Humanizing Cyber Defense" for the exact reason. Me coming from a very technology and a computer science background, I never really understood that part. So I keep going back to technology. That's why when John showed, I'm not sure John's still here, showed up. Let's talk about cyber defense. Let's talk about because if you actually lift up your awareness and see what's really happening in most of the seminars, conferences, what do they talk about? Tools, processes. When in fact, and when we take the survey for 3,000 people answered that question on 48,000 executive group. The number one least part of, which is also presented opportunities, is about human side of things. Have different names, but it's human element is where that challenge presenting itself. Therefore, as I mentioned, this program has gone through a lot of mystery cycles. And it always started with the cyber defense and all the process. We flipped that. I mean, that was a learning experience for me. So therefore, I know some of you feel like, let's get to the juice. Let's get to the goodies here. That's the urge that you already feel because you're coming from that side of the paradigm where you see the tools and all the time. And I'm trying to change that mindset right now and taking a bit of a energy here. Moving with some of the more additional content. To deliver practice, the mastery cycle, those of you who did the practice, here's some of the book references. There's some not something that I just came up with. Cambridge Handbook of Expertise and Expert Performance, amazing references. At the end, there's no genius DNAs. You guys heard about 10,000 hours, right? That was actually popularized by Malcolm Gladwell, but it actually was a study done by two Ivy League professors on what that means of practice. So when we think that human part of the cyber defense present itself as a huge opportunity for us, as Bill and Brendan articulated, then how do we build a deliberate practice going through the mastery cycle that we talked about in a way that actually develop upward vertically as leaders and movers and shakers for the organizations? Because you can have amazing program cyber defense to implement, but if your management team nor the end users are not buying into it, do you think it's going to be successful? No way. It's not going to be successful because people are the most important part of that formula. Okay? So delivery, there's a master cycle we went through, and that book talks about setting a specific goals based on best practice. Because you guys heard this before. Practice makes what? Practice makes perfect. Have you guys heard it before? It's one of the most, it's a worst self-perpetuating lie, I would say, in America, because I would argue that practice makes permanent, not perfect. We are all practicing something every day without aware whether it's best practice or it's bad practice or good practice. We're practicing something all the time, so be careful what you practice. So we gotta keep pointing to the best practice. And when we talk about the humanizing cyber defense, what does that mean? Attention. The next module is gonna be attention management. I've noticed, because I have on my big screen, I have 3 giant screens. I see all your faces. I'm trying to understand what's going on with all of you. John, are you still there? No, he's not there. What happens? Think about this. What happens with their attention when you are bombarded with attacks reports coming out of your one of the perimeter defense program. Now AI is creating all this information. It is coming at your desk. And on top of that, the emails, of course. On top of that, there's the social media that's your wife is sending you to send you a message, subliminal message. My wife, that's how my wife talks to me. All this noises coming at you. How do you maintain tension? I mean, just be aware kind of where you are now. Have you noticed yourself a little like, oh, gotta go faster, faster. Something is missing. Because I notice myself all the time. I start twitching. When there's 4 seconds of a silence, the study shows that, especially in America, when there's more than 4 seconds of silence, people have to say something. It's almost as if you cannot stand that kind of silence, that white space on your calendar. Whereas in Asia, like 8 seconds. I mean, still that's a short time. But there's something about right now what's going on psychologically in us. So when we talk about the humanizing cyber defense, very first step is not trying to either influence or manipulate or change the behavior of our end users. It's about first is understanding your own psychology, your own awareness, which is so interesting if you think about it. Like, that's why I showed that first graph. It's about you as a leader to develop vertically first, which would affect your team vertically, which would affect your company vertically. Comfort zone, push your comfort zone, right on this comfort zone. Immediate feedback. That's why we went to the mastery cycle, the feedback part, the plan and reflect, and then seek guidance from expert coaches. Yeah, we're gonna jump to this. So remember this. I like this guy a lot, Bruce Lee. Not because he's an Asian dude. No, he said a lot of smart things. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. We're going to end with this cycle, and we're going to do a quick takeaway, and then we're going to set the frame for the next module that's coming. So there's something called the endless peak moment. When you get into a skill set like we're doing now, like you have some idea in your head that if we just cycle it, master cycle it, it's just gonna keep better and better and better and better. Like have you felt it before? Like as soon as you have a skill set that you want to develop, somehow in your head, if I just keep doing it, it's just gonna keep better and better and better. As soon as I realize, oh, actually, that's not what happened. I just dabbled into that. I just dabbled with that whatever skill set is. It's called dabbler's approach. You start slow, and you know, oh, you know what? One day I'm gonna do it, and then it's gonna fall apart. The tremendous initial enthusiasm and quickly loses the steam. And then you rationalize that continuing, and then there's obsessive approach, which is about, oh, okay, I want to accelerate learning and push really, really, really hard and burn out. There's a huge, robust progress initially, and then you cannot accept plateau, so you're just gonna stop doing it. For me, that's a golf. Couple rounds of golf. Yeah, this is how that approach works. Hacker approach, our favorite word, hacker approach. Get the initial hang of it, and then just plateau. Just plateau, and that doesn't get better. There's no cycle. I don't need to review it because I'm good with it. So there's no plan to improve, just plateau. These are the top 3 most common approach when it comes down to development, especially after the 25-year-old or higher adult development. You guys getting this? Have you noticed yourself that you have a hard time sometimes to learn new skills, the outcome-wise? Because if we take one of these 3 approaches, So the question is, what is the mastery approach? Is you cycle it, you hit plateau, and you show up at your dojo, you show up at your company meeting, you show up at your team huddle, and you keep cycling it, but plateau it, and then it gets a little better. And then it gets a little better. This is actually what happens even if you cycle it every single time. So I'm framing, so diligent practice is what leads to mastery. And then enjoying the plateau when that's happening, but you keep with the practice is what happens. Okay, so we went over the mastery cycle. Try, apply, review, reflect, and plan, improve. And some of you mentioned this already. There's something happens in the middle. Okay, review and reflect. Like first of all, Conrad, I really appreciate your gift of vulnerability. You said I'm starting with a new organization. There's a struggle, opportunities. I really appreciate that. There's something in us, and at the end, there are only two sources of our emotions that comes from: love or fear. Love or fear. I mean, there's three other emotional that surrounds it, but at the end, and what happens is that I did this terrible handwriting while you guys are gone. So the fear, there's something there that converts to courage. What is that question mark? What is it? There's fear, there's a reservation, there's something that's holding me back, but something happens that leads to courage. And that is action. That is action. You know, there's an old saying that fear is not absence of courage. Or courage is not absence of fear. It's about accepting it and then take action on it is what's going to lead there. So we talked about the group discussion. Okay. So we're going to end this to honor your time. We're going to quick debrief it. We're going to hear from 2 to 3 of you. Where do you show up as a master dabbler, accessible hacker? And what do you predict will be your biggest challenge taking a mastery approach to your development? And then next module, next time, we're going to start getting into the practice of the awareness and humanizing cyber defense in a more practical, more concrete way. But this is a very important for you to self-aware first. All right, so let's hear from 2 to 3 from you, and then we're gonna recess.
You can kick us off. So I'll go backwards from the question. So as a hacker, I think, to me, when I see the word hack, I always remove InfoSec scope from it. But in this context, it's maybe more reactive measures. Something happens, you need to quickly engineer something to deal with it. You're hacking together a solution. You didn't plan for this, so you can't plan for the solution. You just kind of have to go and do things. So I think I show up as a hacker when I'm put into a position that forces me to be reactive. Maybe someone on my team, on the technology team, decided to use some new features or change the OS of our hardware, but they didn't tell me about it. So then when it comes time for me to review my stuff or look at our state of security posture, and I see something's completely different from what I previously thought it was, I have to put together a solution. Maybe there's an action item for me. Maybe, John, maybe I have to hand some PCI evidence to your team. And I'm like, wait a minute, I totally didn't see us doing that differently. So reaction, obsessive is more along the lines of when I know something can be done better, or I'm not like putting in my all. So I'm obsessed with being a little bit of a perfectionist myself. I'm obsessed with trying to make something perfect without defining it. That's a rabbit hole I can go down forever. So I'm going to stop there. And then last but not least, master dabbler is just in things that interest me. I like to tinker, take things apart, put them together again, whether it's concepts, computers, even policies. But I'm a master dabbler when I'm engaged in work that interests me, challenges me, and then intellectually stimulates me in such a way that the brain's constantly moving and I want to learn more. And I think the biggest challenge taking the mastery approach to development is how to become less obsessive and less reactive. And I think all of that encompasses itself in learning how to plan. And so I'm thinking about your circle, that plan and reflect part is where I think I need to do a little more work and self-digging on.
Love it. Thank you, Corporal. All right, let's hear from two more people from the group.
I would say that one of the challenges you have in terms of the long-term scope of your career, it's very much like chutes and ladders. I mean, everybody's got ways to climb up and move forward, but then there are times where you slide back down. And so, how do you maintain your momentum?
Love it. How do you keep embracing the
Back
plateau?
in terms of one of the challenges with hacking is that when you have to be hacking because you're starting over again, and eventually you get your momentum back. So you can't just think of yourself in the now and what's going on in a few days. It's like if you have a more holistic, big picture view, then you'll say, well, I'm in this rut now, but I know at some point we'll be able to move forward. It's like I got to keep grinding because we got to get X, Y, and Z done. Or to the previous guy's points, like I'm at a point where I can just obsess and do whatever I want. I have enough downtime to do that. So
thank you, Richard. Yeah, you're talking about, thanks for the great insight, talking about how we can embrace the plateau, keep grinding, and we're going to talk about that next time. That grinding part and how we look at that practice, whether we look at it as a grinding or practice or hacker approach, that is a choice we can make. That is literally a choice we can make. One of my closest friends, he's a CISO, and he told me one time, John, what are you doing for the weekend? Oh, I have to fly to Houston to give a talk, and I have to go to DEF CON to talk. I have to. And I said, aren't you a leader, an executive for 2,000 employee company? He's like, yeah. And what do you mean you have to? You have a choice. So either you get to, or you choose not to. And that Richard, that great insight, that grinding part, well, that's literally the choice we can make to incorporate into the master cycle in a way that can actually get there faster. So we're going to talk more about that great insight. Okay, let's hear from one more person.
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes, John.
So if I understand the things that have been said in the last few minutes, people are talking as if an individual only has one of those ways of approaching life. When I think of myself, I think there's two narrow aspects of what I do where I act with mastery. And in all the rest of I do, in some cases I'm being a hacker, in some cases I'm being obsessive, in some cases I'm being a dabbler. But it depends on my interests, knowledge, and time pressures. And so I wonder if you'd comment on that.
John, that was a big spoiler alert. I love that. We're going to talk more about that. What you just said is exactly what's going to lead to the next module. What you just said is absolutely amazing word of wisdom there. Think about what John just said and then what Richard and Corporal mentioned. How we show up, whether as a master, dabbler, obsessive hacker, it's not who we are. It's not our identity. It is the orientation that we can wear around our mindset. Because like golf, I'm total obsessive. Once a year, I'm a total hacker with my musical instrument. But man, when it comes down to cybersecurity, oh, no compromise there, mastery approach. What does that mean, John? Because it's not identity tied to identity, it's an orientation of your mind. That means you have choice. You have choice. Was it when Richard said we're doing this because the time pressure is high and do this? Are we making a choice to be a hacker obsessive? That's the whole point of this, is that being aware which approach you're going to take, depending on the situation, to answer the question of what is the most appropriate right now to deliver the best business value. Sometimes dabbler have to make sense. So great insight, John, and that is exactly how we're gonna segue into the next one. Next time when we get together, we'll talk about more specific practice around cybersecurity using the mastery cybersecurity cycle. Okay, and there's a very specific thing happen in this curve, and we're gonna talk about it. There's something happens, amount of stupid, and this also has to do with the talent development with your team. And as soon as you realize where they are, you can use this amazing awareness to develop your team to that different level. So I'm giving you a quick teaser on what we're going to talk about next time. So look forward to that. We're going to close out. Happy Friday, everyone. We're going to close out with a one word. Every session I do, we're going to close out one word. One word is, how you feeling now? And then we're going to close out. So just use one word. All right, we're going to go from, start with the Brandon.
Intrigued.
Richard. We're going to come back to you. Garpo. Oh, Richard, go ahead. Confident. Love that. Conrad? I'm trying to read your lips. You said empowered? Can I hear you? You're still muted. All right, we'll come back to you, Michael.
Well, I'm thinking empowered as well.
Yeah, empowered.
Oh, love it. John?
I think I'm finally starting to understand the process that you want to pursue.
Oh, that was exactly 8 words. Thank you for that, John. That was a gift. I asked for 1 word, you over deliver with the 8 words. All right. This is amazing. Happy Friday. I got so much content. This is a power, exactly what you said. There's gonna be so much power added to you. That's exactly the mission of this whole content, is to develop and grow together as a leaders. And what we need more power and energy, which is the next topic. Thank you so much. Have an awesome weekend. And we're gonna be a big hand, big Texas size hand wave. There you go. All right, appreciate you all.
Happy
Thank
Friday,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Happy Friday. Thank you, everyone.
Good day.